Welcome to the Stanford Lee Show. This week, glory music that changed the world. Hey, do you remember this line in a really famous movie? Hey, it's your cousin Marvin. You know that new sound you're looking for? Well, listen to this. Yeah, I think you remember that movie. It was iconic. Back to the Future, and Chuck Berry, I guess, that would be playing at the time. McFly's character was on the same stage with him and pulling off these really awesome riffs like Chuck Berry would have back in the day. But what if I told you that there was an artist before Chuck Berry that came up with that sound, and really it kind of ties in with that because we do kind of flash back to other times, and we feel like we understand it, like we've been told that rock and roll was, something that came out of, I guess, the mid-century, and we know maybe about 2 or 3 artists, but there was a lot of artists that went back to gospel music. I know there's kind of a nod to that in that Elvis movie that came out sometime, and this music was just a hotbed of inspiration. I mean, it's almost clever, isn't it, that rock and roll, that's called, what do they call it, the devil's music, is something that totally came out of gospel. And I was at a concert, and I know this guy, got religion. He found Jesus Christ, Little Richard, and I probably shared that in one of my stories. That he was out there throwing religious books out at the audience when I was at a concert, seeing one of his shows at South by Southwest. And he actually got to be on stage with Rosetta Tharpe. And that's who I'm talking about. I mean, if there's anybody that would have been in that phone call that Cousin Marvin made, it would have been talking about that sound that Rosetta Tharpe came up with, because she was up there pulling off all these riffs and rock and roll stuff that, it was hard. It was loud, rock and roll music is what we would think of it as. And, good as any of those kids, in Britain learning the blues at the time. But she was back in this period where it was all culminating in the mid-century. These influences and styles were coming together. And we got to kind of tip our hats to gospel music, because that's where rock and roll came from, as much as the blues. We always hear about the blues, but you got to give gospel music its due credit. So, and I'm sharing that as inspiration. And, I've tried some things. I'm not coming as an expert at that music, but I want to kind of pass on the inspiration of what it does to me, and, what it makes me want to try out and, try to learn from. So it's like I hear things differently. When I hear those old riffs on the radio from an artist from the 50s, I'm not just thinking of that artist. I kind of, I also hear the early pioneers, Rosetta Tharpe, and, some of the arrangements of Big Joe Louis and many other artists, Little Richard, and a lot of great people at the time. And with gospel, there was also other things happening, technology. Think of World War II. We didn't have some of that stuff. It was actually recovered stuff from the war that we get a lot of our technology that launched the music industry with tape recording. It had to be like a 16-inch disc that things were recorded in during that time, before there was this convenience of tape technology. Granted, it was the size of an appliance, but it got more miniaturized and more capable through innovations as it went on. So, I'm not, it's to me, it's kind of a passion. I mean, I could, maybe be an expert in, maybe a couple things if I really studied hard, but finding these things out, like going to museums, like you can discover some of this going to Memphis, to Sun Records, or to Stax Records, or just looking around on the internet and kind of taking a deeper dive. So that's really what I wanted to share. And always like dig through your uncle or your parents' records sometimes. Ask them questions about when they lived and what they remembered during that time, because just these little tidbits of information, it's like our residual memory, our culture is kind of tied into that. And it may not make you an expert, but to have that first-hand knowledge can kind of really give you context. Like if somebody was trying to understand the 90s, for instance, we could tell stories about it. It seems like yesterday, but you wouldn't really understand it unless you had that knowledge passed on, or maybe you had an opportunity to try to restore an old computer from that time or something. It's like it's totally a different era, and that's the way it is looking at music. There's these touchstones that give us context and meaning. So that's what I wanted to share. I play a little bit of rockabilly. Dang, I didn't know it came from gospel music. That's even better, right? So I wanted to just jump in and play some stuff, and you can hear some of the recordings too. But here we go. Let's shake it up with "Go Tell It on the Mountain." Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. While shepherds kept a watching over silent flocks at night, behold, throughout the heavens there shone a holy light. Go tell it on the mountain. Go tell it on the mountain. The shepherds feared and trembled when low above the earth rang an angel chorus that hailed our Savior's birth. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. Go tell it on the mountain. Go tell it on the mountain. Go tell it on the mountain, over the hills and everywhere. Go tell it on the mountain that Jesus Christ is born. That Jesus Christ is born. That Jesus Christ is born. All right, well, that was a lot of fun. And while you're here, give us a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And go check out our social media and some of our other videos. And I really enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time on the Stanford Lee Show.